All right, so next we're jumping into the tool holder. Open up your tool holder file from your Google Drive. And we want to take a look and see where the placement of our views are. You want to make sure that when you click in your model space through your paper space, so I've double clicked in this white area, I want to make sure that I have a lock here and that it says 1 to 2. If it doesn't, I can unlock it, select 1 to 2 here, and then middle click on my mouse wheel and drag my views around to be centered, and then go down here and lock that up. Okay? And what I can also do is space my views differently. You might have it so that your views are, let me unlock these. I locked these earlier for something. You might have it so that your views are kind of crowded. I think you guys start off with your views looking something like this. So you want to have more space in between them for your dimensions. And in order to do that, you need to move them. But you need to make sure that when you move them, you do not break any of your alignment between views. That means that this surface up here, this line and this line need to line up. I can draw a line and it will be a horizontal line that will connect those two right there, right? Same goes from here to there, and from this edge to this edge. And as long as you maintain this view aligned to this view, and then this view aligned to this view, kind of like this view right here is the anchor, your miter line will work if you want to add that back later. So I'm going to move those out. So I'm going to select both of these, get my move command, make sure that I'm in ortho mode. I'm going to select these using the box tool, which is just a click here and then a click in the opposite corner of that selection box. Click. Those objects are selected. I can hit enter. And now it's asking me to move these views, selecting the base point. Because I have ortho on, I can drag them to the left. Pay close attention to not accidentally drag them down. That would break alignment. You can't be doing that. So I'm going to drag these to the left, and then I can drag this view all by itself up because it doesn't align with anything horizontally. So I'm going to grab that, hit the move tool, drag it up. Check out how that looks. It looks pretty good. We'll move around more later if we feel like we need to. So let's get started. So I'm actually going to start by looking at just like I did with the last one, I'm going to start putting dimensions on here. And I do need to grab my dimension styles. So I still have my bracket open. You can see how when I have both files open, I see these two tabs up here. This is what I want. I want both of these open. If you closed your bracket, which we've already done and made dimension styles for, open it up so that you can see it here. Then make sure that you are inside your tool holder folder. So you're going to go back, and in your tool holder file, I'm going to type down here DC, enter. That opens up this right here, a very powerful tool, and I can actually now, in this window, I'm going to click on bracket, and I can grab stuff out of here. So I see dim styles right here. I'm going to double click right there, and I see my large and small radius dimension style. So what I can actually do is drag and drop those in here. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And after doing that, if I go to my dimension styles, which will be under annotate over here, I can see that these two dimension styles have been added. So I didn't have to redo all of that. I just copied it over. Kind of like how we can copy over layers. Actually, exactly like how you can copy over layers. All right, so I'm going to start with the extent of this part. Let's go to the Home tab. I think there's going to be a lot going on these views, so I'm going to actually put the height and depth on my side view over here. And just a friendly reminder to mind your pick points so that you can get a nice little gap between your part and the beginning of your extension lines. I'm going to click here, click, click. Ooh, looks like I caught an error. And this might happen. Let me see if that error prevails up here as well. It does not. So something about, I think I can actually even see the difference. Something about this just didn't land. So I'm going to correct that really quick. Should be 2.5. Then I'll have little gaps here that I need to extend. Okay. Let's keep going. So let's do what I was set out to do in the first place. Grabbing a dimension from here, grabbing a dimension from here, up. Let me highlight those. Okay, I've got the correct amount of decimal places. Don't have anything to change there. That was those two dimensions. Next, I want to get this total dimension here. And you see there's a note here that says must be reference because 4 plus 2.25 plus r.75 equals 7. So if I had the 7 just as a regular dimension like these, this would be over-dimensioned, is what you would call it. It would have redundancy. So what you need to do is pick one to be a quote-unquote reference dimension with parentheses around it. And that's kind of telling someone, hey, this is just here for your reference. You aren't going to add any tolerances to this. This is just for your convenience, right? Like for a machinist, for them to know generally what size stock they need to pick out. So I'm going to just grab this overall dimension from this here towards the top. Pull that up. I'll give it some space. I think I'm going to have more stuff going on in there. And to make that, I'm just going to type in my parentheses. So I've got my cursor. So I can type in a parentheses. And now I'm just going to hit my right arrow key on my keyboard. And that just zapped me right over to the other side of this. And I can hit my other closing parentheses. And now I can do close text editor. Okay. Right there. All right, so I've got this height right here. That seems like it will pretty obviously be pulled from right here. Grab my dimension, pick point, and a pick point. So here's something to be careful of. When you're zoomed out, it can be easy to pick the wrong points. You could imagine that I could even be so far zoomed out that I pick maybe the edge of an extension line instead of on my part. So just mind that. Usually the dimension will tell you if you're wrong too, so that's helpful. And then I have this overall height right here. Oh, it's already highlighted. I already did it. Another nice reason to highlight things. It not only keeps you from missing a dimension, it keeps you from doing that dimension twice. So I thought about it and then I saw that it was highlighted and I was like, oh, nope, it's over here. Okay, so I could get this 2.75 here and this 3.25 here. I'm going to grab those. So I went and grabbed my linear dimension. Click, click, click. Grab my linear dimension. Click, click, click. Okay. And you'll notice I generally will do 2 at a time if they're simple, because I know I'm not going to forget. And then I just highlight 2 at a time. Okay, this 4 dimension actually is from this line right here over here, and I think that would look good coming off the top of the part actually, because I actually have a bit of a profile view right here for the end of this instead of just this flat end of it. So I'm going to grab a point right here and here, pull up that 4. And here's an example of sometimes you actually do correctly pick the pick point, and you might not see that space, but when you zoom in, you can tell that you have that space that you want there. But sometimes the angles and the round surfaces of the part will make it look real close, and that's fine. I'm going to pause this for a second and get my computer charger. Okay, so we just got that 4 right there. Let me highlight that. And I'm looking around here, and I know is there a dimension here? Let's see. I have 3.5 distance from here to here. I think it's safe to say that's the profile of that dimension. So I'm going to pull 3.5 up, highlight that. And then I've got this 2 right here. This 2 is going to this slot right here in this part. It's between this edge and this slot. That slot I can see with a hidden line right here. Now, I actually can't put this dimension on this view because you aren't allowed to dimension to hidden lines. So I actually have to put this, I would put it, well, this is the only option, is to put it on this view. This view wouldn't have both of those available. So I'm actually going to put it up here on this view. And let me make sure I'm getting this right. It is from this line over here. So it would actually be from here to here. Okay. So let's see, am I getting kind of crowded? Do I need to move my dimensions or my views? I think I can move my dimensions a little bit. Make sure that your first dimension off the part has some space. You don't want dimensions that are close like that. It gets to be visually confusing. You want that visual space between the dimensions and the part. So we put that 2 right there. Let's highlight that. 2. See, anything else on this front view that we need? I've got 1 height right here. That would be the height of this little platform. And then I've also got this 0.25 represents the height of this little boss feature here. 1. Here's the 0.2. You notice for that boss feature, I actually chose as my pick points this edge of the part. Even though that's technically not on that boss feature, it's on the surface that that boss feature is measured from. So that is a good place to pick, and it will maintain that gap between the whole part and the external dimensions. Okay, so here you can see AutoCAD automatically plopped this dimension out here for me. What I want to do is click on that dimension, and then that blue square in the middle, I'm going to click on that and drag it that's what I want. Having them aligned with each other is a good practice whenever possible. Okay, and then I also have we're going to do radial features last. Let's keep our organization. So let me highlight these two that I just did. I just did a 1 height right here and a 0.25 height boss right there. These are all circular features. What about this one? This shows the center of this circle to that edge behind this face here. Now, I might be tempted to make a dimension that looks like this. Don't copy what I'm about to do. What I'm about to do is an example of what not to do. So this right here would be not allowed. The reason is, for the locations of circles, you want to dimension to the center mark. It's, in a way, it's a little bit more visible than an axis is from a side. The axis is kind of like a hidden line, but a center mark, even though it's a theoretical point, it's in the center of a circle that is very visual, and you could say, in a way, it's a it would give you all the information you need about that circle, because a lot of times you have two locations for it. It's also just a rule. So I'm actually going to take this 2.25 and put it on this top view here. And let's make sure that I'm grabbing the right line. It will definitely be this line right here to the edge of this. I'm going to make sure not to accidentally grab a point over here, so sometimes I need to zoom in. And then I want to line it up with this right here. Okay. Highlight that. Any other dimensions that aren't radial? Okay, so I have a 1 right here and a 0.75 here. Let me get those. The width of this slot, it's shown drawn on the isometric drawing. But remember, isometric drawings, they don't necessarily follow all the rules. They have to fit a lot of dimensions and a lot of information in one packed space. So generally, there is the rule that you do not put dimensions on top of a part in an official multi-view drawing. So I would actually place this out here. Every once in a while, it can't be avoided. For example, here, this 2 right here actually has my extension line going onto the part to catch this edge. I still have a space right here, but I have this extension line over the part. And it's just because there wasn't another option. So it's a do it when you can kind of thing. And if you can't, make it work. All right, so then we have 0.75 for this space right here. I'm gonna make that line up. Come on, here we go. Highlight those. Now I can get to my radial dimensions. So we've got our center marks here, and I actually have some instructions on this, and these are in Blackboard. It says add a center mark for only the large style radii, this one only. Now I'm looking at the check print here, and the check print shows center marks on both of these. So I'm gonna leave this for right now. Let's just keep going. All right. So I'm going to grab a radius dimension, since this is expressed with an R for radius. Radius. And I'm actually going to put it here, because this is a 2x dimension. It means either of the two it's talking about. I can put that there and drag it out. I'm going to double click on it and get my 2x in there. 2x, that's capital X, space, close text editor. And here it says that this is going to be in large style. I can also tell it's in large style because it's drawn as large style. I've got the arrow coming out from the center right here. So what we do is I click on this dimension once. I'm actually going to click kind of on the leader just to make sure I don't activate the text. Click on it once. Oh, I did the opposite of what I wanted it to do. Okay, I'm going to try again. Escape. Maybe I had to hit escape twice to really get out of this command, so let me try it this way. That worked. All right, so I fled. I escaped. So then I clicked once on this, and after I've clicked once on it normally, then I right-click, and I go to precision, pardon me, dimension style, and I'm going to go to large R. There we go. That's what I want. Let's highlight that. Okay. Now, over here I have 3 different dimensions. And there's a rule about what view you put dimensions like this on. For holes, we would call that a negative feature because the hole is empty, right? So it's negative space. For holes, you would show that dimension from the circular view. For radii and edges of parts, you'd also show it from the circular view. So even though it's a positive dimension right here, you would still show that from this view. But for something that is a complete boss, that would be a complete cylinder that is extruded, and it's a positive feature, you would show that dimension from the profile view. So let's start right there. I'm actually going to make a linear dimension because AutoCAD doesn't know the difference. It just thinks this is a linear dimension. So we'll do that. I'm going to make a linear dimension from this point to this point going up. Now, since I didn't use my radius or diameter dimension command, it doesn't know that it's a diameter. So I have to actually put the diameter symbol in there. So I'm going to get into my text editor. So that was double clicking. And I have my, that's right, I've got my cursor blinking. So whatever I put, we'll put where that cursor is. I'm going to go over to symbol up here. The drop down menu. Here we have diameter. There we go. And now I can go over to close text editor. So there we go, we've got that dimension on that positive feature. So that is 1.25 right here. Now I can go up here and I'm going to get a diameter for this inner circle. So make sure you grab the right one. This one right here, we don't need to dimension because that's dimension down here. They're the same part on different views. So we're grabbing this arc circle right there, dragging out. Is that displayed correctly? It looks like it is. It matches what I see here. And I'm going to now grab a radius. There we go. And I'm going to grab this arc we go. Let's highlight them. If I was to check my work now, I would just really look through here, make sure I didn't have nothing that's unhighlighted. I might just look real quick and think, oh, do I have anything that's 3 digits? No, that didn't happen in this drawing. Okay. Do I have 2 times? I've got 2 times here. That was the only one. Okay, and I did it. So I'm just doing some general checks. Now I'm going to look at it and just think, could I improve the looks of this? Are there any dimensions that could do well to be lined up? I kind of already took care of that. I lined these up. Are any dimensions too close to the part? I think it looks pretty good. That'd be kind of cool if this was aligned with this. There we go. I think I've got everything I need. So now I'm going to go to my layout tab and double check everything we talked about for a second in the beginning. I'm going to make sure that I have my scale the way I want it. I'm going to make sure that I can see everything I want to see in my viewport. I actually need to add this note, so I already have this here, but you guys might not. And in order to add this note, I actually have it in model space, but right now, since I clicked in here, I'm actually quote unquote working on model space through paper space. So if you want to add a note like this, what you do is you go to text, multi-line text, and then you would type what I have shown here. And then after you've done that, you would highlight it. And you highlight it because everything you're going to highlight you want to change the size of, and you're going to change it to 0.13 tall. And then you're going to hit close text editor. And there you will have your note, except your note won't say blah, blah, blah. It will say this. And that is this right here that's written for us. The material is specified as 6061 aluminum. So once I put that note in there, I can actually highlight that so that I know I did all my everything on my to-do list I did. Okay, and then the last thing would be to make sure you have all of this filled out here. Put your name, the date, the scale. Just call it tool holder. It's sheet 1 of 1. And then you will save this and we will do more to it later. Else, that's it.